Hi everyone, I'm Rakesh Theatre and welcome to Theatre Essence. Today I'm going to discuss an important topic, how to create a free portfolio and a blog site using GitHub. Let me add some brief background why this is important. So in tech industry, we often call or hear the term technical depth. It's a condition where engineering system and processes are outdated or stagnant or failing to evolve with time. Likewise, in life, we also need to stay ahead and don't get stuck with old habits or mindset. This is often called career depth. Career depth is not frequently taught, or we normally don't hear frequently, unlike technical depths. However, this is a very important aspect. To grow and stay relevant, we must continue to adopt new approaches and practices. And one effective way to distinguish yourself is by creating a portfolio or a blog site or documenting your codes in code repository like GitHub. So for this tutorial, I'm using GitHub as it is completely free. It also provides you a free hosting website with a minimal effort. Creating a portfolio is just a 5-minute work, while creating a blog site is a longer process. So a portfolio helps to highlight your work samples, projects, and accomplishments, demonstrating your skills. While a blog site helps to capture and share your posts on tech tutorials, coding guidelines, trending standards, and other topics, demonstrating your learnings and interests. Showcasing your work, achievement, and knowledge base is very crucial in this market, and you must take action. If you like my topic and the way I present, please kindly help subscribe Theatre Essence. So now let me walk through a technical tutorial which will help you to create a portfolio and blog site in 5 minutes. So before we discuss how to create portfolio in GitHub or how to create blog site in GitHub, there are some basic fundamentals that you need to be aware. Some of the fundamentals that I use in this tutorial, I have documented these details in my blog site. And among the fundamentals, you need to understand what is Markdown language, what is GitHub, what is HTML, and what is CSS. If you fork or copy the code bases that I already made public in my GitHub repository, then you really don't need to understand all these. All you need to know is just 5 to 10-minute work on better understanding the Markdown language, because that's the core language to document and showcase your work in plain text. Okay, let's begin the tutorial. So if you don't have GitHub account, please open the GitHub account, which is free. Go to github.com and just create a new account. Sign up for a new account. So once you create a new account, Then you get a GitHub repository uh, with your own name. So in this case, I have arttheater01 as a GitHub name. So to create a portfolio under the GitHub, you can create a new repository. And once you create a new repository, you'll see a folder structure, something like this, which is empty. So let me go ahead and open a new one so that we can actually walk through creating a new repository. So let's say I create a new repository. So in this new repository, because I'm creating under Tesla Essence, so one of the basic idea here is if you want to preserve the name or an easy portfolio link, then the GitHub account name must be same as the repository name. So in this case, if I use theateressence.github.io, then this would be your final website URL that you can share with others. And it's a simple, easy one. However, if you choose to go with a different name, any name, say any name, that is also doable, but it just makes the URL long and harder to remember, right? So I already have created a repository, and just to kind of like highlight, you do want to make sure you choose public so that it is available to others. And then you do want to turn on to add a README file, which will by default add a README file, and then just create the repository. So with this, you'll create a new repository with just the README file and no config and asset folders. So once you create the repository in the README file, you can document your portfolio contents. So this is clearly a Markdown language, and I have already documented here in my own. So you can just basically copy what I did here. And if you are new to GitHub, one easy way to copy everything is just fork. So by doing fork, you can create it. But I would rather suggest create on your own rather than forking. So it makes sense to do forking for block site, but because this is a very simple portfolio, I would rather prefer you go and create yourself. So on top of README file, we'll also need a config YAML file. So this is a deployment file, deployment configuration file, and behind the scene, GitHub use Jekyll, a theme that is used to deploy the whole website. And so this is really simple. Let's look into the content. So like I mentioned, this is a deployment config file, and really you just need few lines. In this here, I'm showing only 5 lines. So first one is title. This will show the title of your portfolio. Second one is the logo. So I want to show a picture of myself. So that's why I have the a picture of my profile pic under asset image folder, and that's what you see under asset. You create a picture, and then a description on what you want to describe, short under the title, and then show downloads is true, so this is optional. And then the theme Jekyll, which I already mentioned. So this is a built-in theme that comes with GitHub, and you can use and explore more. Again, really, you only need 3 files to host the portfolio. So once you have the file ready, the 3 files, README, config, and the image pic, then there is one more settings or configuration changes that you need to enable or turn on so that it will automatically be deployed by GitHub for you, and then the site will be accessible. So in this case, because I'm not logged in as this GitHub, so I won't be able to view that. So let me use a separate one to just to show that. So on the GitHub, if you are already logged in, then there is a tab called settings that will be available and accessible to you. So under settings tab, you can go to the pages menu. And once you go into the pages menu, then the only configurations that you need to enable is basically choose deploy from a branch. So once you choose deploy from the branch and main as the root and just publish that, basically the site. All right, once the configuration changes is saved, GitHub will automatically deploy it for you. So let loads the sample page how it looks like. So this is the sample example of how the portfolio structure looks like. Again, you can decorate this with colorings and all sort of things. The only requirement is you need to improve your basic understanding on Markdown language. Again, it's really very simple. You just need 5 to 10 minutes of basic understanding from Markdown language. I have highlighted the link in my blog site, or you can just simply Google to learn more about Markdown language. So this is a really nice portfolio that you can create free of cost in 5 minutes and that you can showcase to others. All right, we're done with creating portfolio. So now let's walk through how to create a blog site. So blog site is a little bit more complex than portfolio because portfolio only has 3 files, whereas blog site, you will have more files, right? In tech field, developers normally use code repository like GitHub to document their work or document their projects, whereas other folks from different fields like journalists, anchors, they use blog site. And if you clone or fork the blog site that I just showed earlier, it would be a lot easier for you to maintain, and you only need to understand the MD file for creating new posts. So all the technical knowledge about creating a blog site, I have already created the template for you. You can just copy that and then you can just add or modify the post on top of that. So doing post, you only need to understand how Markdown language work. And again, it's a 5 minute work to develop the basic understanding. And this all comes free. It's hosted by GitHub, free of cost for you. So let me walk through a little bit of the project structure so that you know what are the changes that you need to make once you fork or copy the template from my Git repository structure. So this is a sample GitHub blog site, Tata Essence. And inside this, we have very few files to begin with, right? So the first one is includes folder. The second one is layouts. The third one is post. So all of these are prefixed with underscore, which means these are the core folders that the Jekyll team would use when running this website. And then on top of that, we have assets, categories, and config file and index.markdown file. So I think config file is the same, like we discussed earlier. And index.md, it's a slight difference. But really, once you copy this structure, all you will be editing or maintaining in future is the topics and the post under these. So in this case, I have highlighted 3 topics: personal, technical, and trending, with its own sample. And then these categories, if you want to describe more detail, I have created a separate Markdown file to describe in detail. And reviewing these, so I have a footer and a sidebar display, the footer at the bottom and the sidebar on the left side. And then I have some default HTML pages which decides how these posts should look like and what are the headers it should use, what is the sidebar it should use, and what are the menu structure it should use. And then under the assets, you have a few images that are relevant with the post, and then some cascade style sheet CSS files, which basically help to decorate your text. So how does this look in the repository itself? Let's take a look. So inside the repository, if I go into Data Essence, so these are the files that are present in that. So this is my Data Essence, and this is how it looks. So on the left side, you have the sidebar. I have a sample banner on the top, and at the bottom, I don't have anything because this is a home page. But if you look, this is the Markdown file and decorations. And then at the bottom, I have the footer and a link to go back to the home page. So this is really simple, straightforward. So that closes on how we can create a portfolio and a blog site within 5 minutes. These are the quick hacks to showcase your work. I hope you like the presentation, and I would really appreciate if you subscribe Data Essence. Let's grow together. Let's learn together. Thank you and stay safe.